Today, I'm going to share with you exactly how I generated $5 million in e-commerce revenue at 17 years old. So if you're coming across me for the first time, my name is Alex Phillip. I've been in e-commerce since I was 10 years old. Right now, I run a couple of private label brands and dropship stores. So the way I'm going to structure this video is like this. I'll start off with my whole life story, not just my business journey, but my whole life story on how I got started with e-commerce as being a normal kid in school, and exactly what my journey looked like leading up to where I am today, and exactly how I got interested in business in the first place. And then I'll touch a bit on what are the key lessons that I've learned along my journey that can hopefully give you some perspective on what it takes to really get to where I am today. And to finish on, I'll touch on what my future plans are and what I see myself doing in the next 5, 10, 15 years. So before we get started, I just thought this would be good to say initially. The reason for making this video is not because I want to brag or show off about what I've done. In my mind, my numbers aren't anything crazy big compared to what other people are doing. I know people years younger than me who are doing 7 figures a month. So it's absolutely nothing crazy, and I'm not trying to say it is, but I actually didn't even want to make this video in the first place. But I decided it might be something nice to look back at in a couple years time. But really, I honestly don't think $5 million in ecom revenue is anything crazy at 17 years old. There's 15, 16-year-olds out here doing $1 million a month. So it's really just a mindset thing. And if you think it's a big deal, then obviously it's going to be hard for you to achieve. But if you're convinced that you can do it regardless of age, then it's going to be much easier for you. So I'm not super impressed with my results, but it might help some of you guys just to understand what I did to get to where I am today. So really just motivating you guys and inspiring you with my journey to date is one of the only reasons that I'm making this video. And last thing before we get started, when I say $5 million, I don't mean $5 million net. It's revenue. I wish it was net, but it's not. And if you don't believe me, then it's fine. You know, I've been posting my results on this channel literally for 4 years. You can see me back in Forbes 4 years ago. I was doing 100K months when I was 14, 3 years ago. You can find that on the channel. But if you don't believe me, that's completely fine. The real number is something like, I don't know, 5.5 mil, 6 mil, something like that. But we'll just make it round and say 5 mil for this video. I'm going to make sure to put timestamps in this video below so you can skip to the parts that you want to see, but I'm going to start right at the beginning where I think my journey first began. This was all the way back when I was in year 6. I was like 11 years old. And basically when I was in year 6, if you're in the UK, you know what I'm talking about, but we have this thing called the 11 plus exams. And this is just an exam that you take to get into a grammar school or like a better secondary school. And essentially only the smart people get into these selective grammar schools. And as a kid growing up, the only thing I was told when I was younger was just to study. That's all I was told. Literally for 3-4 years before year 6, before these exams, I was told to study as hard as possible just so that I could pass these exams to get into a grammar school. All I did for 3-4 years, literally every day after school, was just study. No one ever actually told me what the point of getting into a grammar school was. All I knew, it was just ingrained into me that every day after school, I have to do a maths paper, I have to do an English paper, I just have to study for hours. And literally that was just my life for years. Literally that was just my life. So of course, I didn't know it at the time, but subconsciously, I was being programmed into studying hard, getting good grades, and getting a good job, just going down the normal academic route. And that's not something exactly I can blame my parents on, because that's the exact same thing that they were taught by their parents and so on and so on. But that was just the system, you know, that was just the thing that everyone did, and it was the same thing I was taught. So anyway, I guess you could say I was quite smart. I literally passed all my exams, and I ended up getting into a grammar school. Not that being smart matters anyway, but I guess you could say I was. And I was brainwashed basically. I was going down the normal school route, following the crowd, going down the whole getting good marks at school route. And I even have this really funny video of me when I was in like year 7 or 8, a couple years ago on Channel 5 TV, talking about how badly I wanted to get into grammar school and how hard I worked. I'll play the video here.
It was double music this morning for year 8s at Sutton Grammar School in Greater London.
You have to do lots of work outside school to practice for the exams.
And what was that like?
Tough work. I practiced 3 years before the exam.
Yeah, I know that you can't even recognize me, right? It's crazy. Anyway, now it's summer 2015. I had passed my exams. I just finished year 6. And for the first time ever in the summer, I was free. I didn't have to do like maths papers on repeat. I had time for myself for once. So I don't remember exactly what triggered me, but I was browsing online. It was a combination of that and my dad telling me about something, but I ended up starting my first website called Joyfolks.com. And you can use the Wayback Machine tool to find the website, but essentially Joyfolks was kind of like a blog slash ecom website where we dropshipped motivational books, personal development books, like all the classic John Maxwell, Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, that type of stuff. And back then I didn't even know it was called dropshipping. I was just finding random listings for these books and programs on eBay and listing them on my website. And back then Joyfolks was built on one.com, so this is even before I knew what Shopify was in 2015. It was like mostly HTML coded, so I learned how to do HTML, manually create product listings with code, embed payment icons onto the website. So that was way before I knew what Shopify was. I was like manually doing all this stuff. So I ended up building out Joyfolks.com, listing loads of different books and products on there. And I ended up building out this like member login portal for Joyfolks, so you could get discounts if you logged in, like fully custom. And I probably spent hundreds or thousands of hours just building out Joyfolks.com on code because I just really love doing it. And this was really my first glimpse on the whole online world. I got a glimpse of how everything worked, and it just really fascinated me. So sometime after starting and building Joyfolks, a couple months maybe, I realized I wasn't getting any website traffic to my website. So I decided I need to look for ways to drive traffic to Joyfolks. So this is the first time I started browsing YouTube for methods to drive traffic. And I was hearing all these different types of methods like Facebook ads, influencers, Google ads. But I decided to be completely unique and do my own unique media buying strategy, which at that time was buying website visitors from Fiverr.com. And I specifically remember paying this guy $5 to drive 10,000 visitors to my website. And a couple days later when he delivered it, I checked my charts and there was 10,000 visitors that hit the site. And I was so incredibly happy, I couldn't believe it. To that point, I'd spent hundreds or thousands of hours building Joyfolks. I barely had 100 visitors. And just like that, overnight, I had over 10,000 hits to my website. But the only issue was, of course, none of those users converted. And obviously, I didn't understand it at the time, but so obviously botted traffic, and these weren't actually real people visiting my website. But yeah, that part didn't really click to me, so I thought I need to learn about CRO and how to optimize my website to get these people to purchase. Obviously, I found out a couple years later it was bots, but I went ahead and just rebuilt the entire website, like literally restructured everything just because I realized my conversion rate sucked. And also sometime in between, I remember reading a blog post telling me that another way to drive traffic to my website was to create a viral video. So of course, I got right to it. I made a script. I planned out this super cool motivational video. I'll go ahead and play this clip of it right over here.
Don't just read it. Live it. Dream big. And have a vision for your life. Joyfolks Success Story. Here for you.
But yeah, it's a very funny clip if you look back at it. But anyway, I made this video. I spent so much time putting it together. And sure enough, again, it didn't work. It didn't go viral. I was super bummed out at this point because I literally spent thousands of hours building Joyfolks and I didn't get any sales. But anyway, this brings us to summer 2016. I'm 12 years old now. And this was just when Pokemon Go came out. And I remember being on the bus and people were going crazy. They were taking out their iPads, bringing it to school, just hit all the Pokestops and play Pokemon Go. And it was insane. And I remember thinking that this is a good opportunity to make some money here. I'd completely missed out on the whole fidget spinner trend the year before, so I thought this is a good time that I can start making some money. And also at this point, I had built my £1 Sweetbox empire at school. I had year 7s, year 8s, year 9s lining up outside my locker every lunchtime just to buy my stock. I was making like £5 a day from selling sweets at school, and that business was going pretty well. Everything I made from my sweet business, I just put it into my online ventures, let's say. So anyway, I'm online and I'm looking for ways to start selling Pokemon stuff online. And very quickly, I realized that there's a bunch of really cheap eBay listings for Pokemon plush toys that are quite expensive on Amazon. So my genius idea obviously was to list those same eBay products on Amazon at a high price. So sure enough, I started that, and I didn't know it was dropshipping at the time. I thought it was my own business model I invented. In that same week itself, when I started selling on Amazon, I made my first sale, my first couple of sales, and people were just going crazy over these, Charmander, Pikachu plush toys. And over the course of the whole summer, I'd made like £300 in profit just by selling these Pokemon plush toys. And this was absolutely huge for me because at this point I was, running Joyfolks for over a year, and I hadn't made any money investing thousands of hours into it. In fact, I had lost money from the hosting and all that type of stuff. But a few weeks of Amazon and I'm already in the green. Eventually the Amazon account got shut down because you're not allowed to dropship on Amazon, so that was a bummer, but I had just opened up my mind to a whole new world of e-commerce because for the first time I was actually making money online. Oh, and also during this time I was still very much focused in school. I wasn't top of the class or anything, but I was pretty decent at school whilst this was happening. So now fast forward to the end of 2016, I'm still working on Joyfolks, but I was less interested in the blogging, affiliate marketing stuff I was doing on Joyfolks because I had my mind open up to this whole e-commerce world. And I'm on YouTube, I'm looking for other ways to make money online, how to run e-commerce businesses, and that was kind of where it all got started. And whilst I was looking for ways to make money online, I came across this one YouTube video talking about Instagram theme pages and how you could build theme pages and sell promos on them and make thousands of pounds every single month just by running ads through your theme page. So of course I got right to it. In early 2017 I launched a couple of theme pages, mostly like motivational quotes and stuff, but like some pets and dog pages as well. And I was doing everything I could do to get to a couple thousand followers so I could start selling promos. Shout out for shout out, follow for follow, engagement groups, boosting posts, whatever. I was doing basically everything you could think of, all the usual stuff, just so that I can get all my pages to a couple thousand followers and start making money by selling shoutouts. And this is also the first time that I came across Shopify. I remember hearing it on YouTube in early 2017. It didn't really click with me what it was or how it worked, but I knew about Shopify back then. So anyway, through 2017, I'm growing these accounts. I have multiple accounts on a couple thousand followers at this point. And I vividly remember something happening. There's a channel called Valuetainment. Most of you guys probably know it right now, but Patrick and Valuetainment. One of my posts on my influencer account, it was a quote account, went semi-viral, and Patrick actually commented on the post. And I remember seeing it because I had came across Patrick a couple months ago, and I really liked this guy. So when I saw him comment on my post, I was like so incredibly happy. I was thinking like, damn, this actually works. And I was super motivated to go even harder with it because my accounts were finally picking up some momentum and I was starting to see some results with it. But anyway, that's just something that was cool that happened along the way, long time ago. So halfway through 2017, I'm keep on growing these accounts. I remember at my peak, I was at like 600k followers across all my different accounts. And I was starting to sell some promos at this point. And it was mostly like courses and affiliate stuff on my theme pages just because you can't exactly promote many ecom products on these quote pages. However, I did get some like ecom people buying promos for me. And that's the first time that I realized that, hey, these guys buying promos for me, I'm making quite a good like amount of money selling these different products. And I hadn't connected the dots between what they were selling, on Shopify and what I was doing back on Amazon, which was dropshipping. But eventually, like looking into YouTube, I realized that these guys were selling on Shopify and dropshipping products, which is essentially what I was doing last year. So of course, instantly I'm intrigued. I'm running my own influencer account, so I realized I can just sell my own products using my influencer accounts. And I remember going across YouTube videos. At that time, it was like Hidden Bowls and Sebas Bedoya. Those were the guys who were talking about Shopify on YouTube. And I remember watching their stuff, just getting started with Shopify and thinking like, it instantly clicked with me. I understood it and I thought that this is something that I could actually do. This is something that this is one way that I can actually start making some money online. And I remember distinctively one of Sebas Bedoya's videos where he said something like that he figured out how to dropship in 3 months. And this was like end of 2017, well, it was like August 2017, and I told myself that I would also figure out how to dropship in the next 3 months. Like, I fully convinced myself that if he could do it, I could also do it. And surely enough, after long hours, a bunch of hard work, and figuring out this whole Shopify thing, testing various different things, and asking loads of questions in e-commerce groups, watching so many YouTube videos, eventually I figured out how to drive profitable sales to my Shopify store. Now, I'm skipping over loads of different things because this could go on for quite a while, but essentially I was using influencers, and the reason that I started off with influencers is because I had my own influencer accounts. I understood how the Instagram space worked, so it just made sense to me. So my first winning product was this Liverpool canvas. It was said, "You will never walk alone," which is the famous song that Liverpool fans sing. And Liverpool fans were loving it. I was working with loads of these different Liverpool fan pages. Liverpool Goals, it's quite a big account now, but back then it was like 100k followers. And the promos were dirt cheap, but they were like ridiculously cheap. I could pay him $20 for a feed post, and he had 100,000 followers. And I think that first promo we did like $500 in sales, and it was crazy. Like for me, I had never made that much profit in such a short amount of time. So influencers was working great for me. I ended up scaling that product. We did like 10k with that canvas, and it was working very well. This was my first taste of e-commerce success in late 2017, and I just like figured out how to do this influencer marketing thing with theme pages. And actually I ended up scaling that on Facebook as well. I didn't know too much about Facebook ads or how to scale it, so literally my campaigns, I had 2 campaigns, I remember it. It was targeting Liverpool and it was targeting Mo Salah. And I was afraid to expand my campaigns anything further than that because I thought it would be unrelated. I didn't know what lookalikes were. No one told me what retargeting was. So I was just running these campaigns at like, £20 a day or whatever. And it was very profitable, but I didn't scale it because I didn't think it would work at a higher scale. Eventually someone scaled that product like to 6 figures before like I could even like conceptualize that it could go that far. But anyway, that was my first taste of victory online, selling canvases. I had made like 10k online at 13 years old, which was insane. It was crazy for me. So now obviously with that success, I'm determined to find the next thing, the next product that could work with me with my influencer strategy that I had learned. And it's January 2018 right now, and something's happened, and I figured out that the music boxes work really well. That was the next winning product that I found. These normal like Harry Potter, Star Wars, Moana, these theme tune music boxes. I'm pretty sure everyone has seen them by now, but I was the first person to market them back in 2018 on Instagram. No one else was doing it. Even the ad creatives themselves, I edited that loads of people ended up stealing, but I was the first person to run it with influencers back then. And I remember one night, I was going to sleep, I had paid this influencer like $10. It was like a movie trailers page on Instagram to post the ad for the music box. And I woke up the next morning, I checked my Shopify, and it was $800 in sales. And it was crazy. I had like dozens of email notifications of orders. It was unbelievable because I had made like $400 in profit overnight just by selling these music boxes. So of course, from my previous experience of the canvas, I learned that I can scale stuff much more aggressively. I learned what it meant to be more aggressive with scaling. So I went crazy with it. I went to all the big accounts on Instagram at the time. Purity, Memes Up, they're huge now, but they weren't as big or expensive back in 2018, like WorldStar. I went to all these big meme accounts and I started running ads with them on their feed, just promoting these music boxes. And when I was 13, it was like April 2018, March 2018, I had done 45k in revenue and about 15k net profit at 13 years old. So it was obviously insane to me because I had made a ridiculous amount of money at a young age, and I remember feeling like, damn, that I can really go super hard with this ecom thing and I can, make it big. And it was at this time that my mentor at the time introduced me to someone at Forbes who made this really nice article for me. Go ahead and link it here. Some of you might have seen it, but yeah, that's how that article came about. Right after I hit my second winner with the music box, and we were doing like good numbers, multiple thousands a day. Now, over the rest of 2018, I was mostly working on the music box, loads of different influencers, getting many deals set up, etc. But there was also some other products that popped off, like this baby Groot planter pot, LED rave masks, you probably all seen that, the moon lamp, loads of other stuff that I was working with influencers back then. But I was mostly focused on that music box because it was working, though very inconsistently. But really, 2017 is when I first understood how inconsistent that dropshipping could be, because I had huge variances month to month. One month I remember making like 5k profit, next month I lost like £2,000. So for me, it was just a really hard cycle because I knew that if one month was a good month, there's a good chance that next month it could all fall apart and it won't work. So I was just stuck in this cycle of some months making a good amount of money, some months like losing money even. And this basically led me to never being satisfied or happy with my results, because like I was always worried that it wouldn't stay for long. And this is literally something that I've suffered for years inconsistently, and that's just kind of the nature of dropshipping and e-commerce. And even now, it's something I'm working on, and definitely not as bad as I would say. But I really don't recall having like two similar months in terms of like revenue. It's either like much higher or way lower, and that basically always puts you in work mode, because you're always thinking next month things might not be the same. So you always want to work more and more, even if you're having a good month. So anyway, 2018 goes by, and I remember it was my goal in 2018 to make 100k profit from e-commerce and my other businesses. And I remember, you can check my channel from 4 years ago, I made this review video where I showed I only made 56k that year in profit. And obviously I was super let down, because in April or March I had made 15k in a month, and I finished the year only making 3x of that. So very inconsistent, just to give you an idea. So now it's 2019, and I personally always do this thing where I set really high goals. In 2019, my goal was to make 300k net from all my businesses, and it was mostly ecom, but I had some like YouTube affiliate marketing stuff on the side, which was making a couple grand. Even now, passively, it still makes a couple grand. And just to cut things really short, the same thing again happened this year. So I was 14 and going into 15, and in April, again when I was 14, I hit like 80k month on my private label brand, the Money Care, which I've shared on this channel back 3 years ago. You can go check that out. And we did like 40k, well, I did 40k net profit across all my businesses in a single month at 14 years old. Again, it was really crazy for me. But then for the rest of the year, I never in a single month made more than 15k net profit. So again, huge variance month to month. So even though I was happy temporarily when I made 40k that 1 month, the next, I think 2 months later, I had lost like 3 grand in a month. So it was just super inconsistent for me. So again, because of this huge month-to-month variance, I didn't hit my 300k net profit goal, even though it looked very likely I was going to hit it at the beginning of the year. But of course, the money I did make in 2019 was significantly better than the last year, because I had forced myself to work harder. Because my goal was much higher, my standard was much higher, it just automatically made me work harder, work smarter in order to hit that goal. And automatically, when you have a bigger goal, or at least for me, when I realized I set a really big goal, I just automatically start to work much harder in order to make that goal a reality. And every day I was just working and grinding really hard in order to hit my 300k target. Now, of course, since then, a couple years later, looking back at it, I realized there is some downsides of setting really high financial goals, especially like in a really small 12-month time frame. However, like every year I've made more money than the last year, so it's something that I continue to do just because it's worked for me, and it's something that I definitely recommend you to explore doing. And I'm skipping over a bunch of different stuff here because this video would be super long, but in the 2018-2019 time period, I'd also launched a private label brand with a business partner in the US. We scaled it, we nearly sold it for 6 figures, before the deal fell through. That's a story for another day. The money actually hit the bank account, it was like 150k. And then some stuff happened, but that nearly happened when I was 14, 15 at this point. I also ended up working at Facebook for a week, and I saw some really humongous ad accounts. I saw like Pretty Little Things ad accounts. I saw what they were doing. I saw a bunch of different stuff when I was working there. I also ended up getting my 600k follower network of influencer accounts completely shut down overnight. It was the purge. It was really ugly. I remember I was making like 3k a month passively from that, and just overnight Instagram shut everything down, which like it definitely hurt big time, because that was my only passive or consistent stream of income at the point, and I'd spent years building that up. And also at this point, I started to slack off at school a bit more, because obviously when you're 14 and you make your teacher's yearly salary in a single month, you obviously stop caring, because you realize that there's a whole different world out there that's just waiting for you to capitalize on it. And at school, I didn't really tell anyone what I was doing. I mean, it came up quite often because there was the Forbes article about me, and that went around the staff room or something, and all the kids knew, but I didn't really talk about it. I didn't care if people knew or didn't know. I was just really focused on my stuff and just doing what I love doing. But anyways, in my journey so far, so I had only been using influencers. Meme page influencers is the only thing that I was doing. I was only marketing with influencers. And I knew that Facebook was the go-to place for getting more consistent results. And I had dabbled with Facebook a little bit, but I hadn't really mastered it. Like I said, I'd scaled a canvas on Facebook and it was profitable, but I hadn't really done any crazy numbers with it. But I knew that was the platform I had to master if I wanted to get over my inconsistent results issue and like do some consistent numbers with Shopify. And I had been trying to learn this for ages. I couldn't figure it out. I tried everything. And luckily for me, a good friend of mine, an online friend of mine, Christ, showed me how to run Facebook ads. I think it was December 2019 or like January 2020 when I was 15. And I'd hit my first 100K month using Facebook ads. And he basically showed me, he did everything for me on Skype calls. Like he was walking me through it on my own store. Here's how I'd set up the campaign, CBOs, duplicates, whatever. He showed me everything. And that first month itself, we hit 100K month. And that just opened my whole mind up to Facebook ads, because like I had never done those numbers with influencers. I'd done like 80K month with meme page influencers, but it was super inconsistent. But my first month on Facebook, like proper month, I did 100K. So I was thinking like, damn, this is really it. I'd netted like 30 or 25K in a single month. And I was thinking like, wow, I can start consistently doing some good numbers on Facebook. And sure enough, a couple weeks later, ad account banned, profile disabled, couldn't even log back into the profile. I was back to where I was with influencers. No consistency, just 1 month good, 1 month like zero. So that was my first brutal taste of Facebook. And then obviously this is early 2020, surprise, surprise, COVID happens. Before you even know it, on super short notice, school shut down, and in the UK there's this thing called GCSE exams, and they were cancelled. They were the exams I was meant to do in year 11. For me, they were completely cancelled, and everyone was told, go home, we don't know when school is reopening. And that's when I made the executive decision of not going back to school. I didn't show up after that day. That was my last day, was whenever lockdown happened in like February, March 2020. That was my last day. I never went back. I was just at home, grinding, working super hard, scaling my ads, figuring stuff out. Because I knew like school was taking up 9, even 10 hours of my day every single day. And that was time that I could invest into my business and get stuff like pumping up even harder. So it was a huge amount of time saved. And 2020 is like when I had my crazy breakthrough, I would say. Well, I'd already been doing good numbers, but 2020 was when I really realized how much money I could make with Ecom. And I remember in that first week that I had left school and I started focusing really hard on my Ecom stuff, I did like 60K in revenue in a week through Facebook ads. And I had never hit those type of numbers before. And stuff was just working really, really well for me, especially during the whole Ecom boom during the lockdown. And really the last 2 years have sort of been a blur for me. I've done many things. I've hit many milestones over the last couple of years. Right now I have a couple private label brands and a couple dropship stores that I'm working on. But the last 2 years have been head down and grinding really hard only on e-commerce. And even though I was still sort of struggling with the consistency thing that I was telling you about, I started hitting bigger numbers because I had learned Facebook ads, meme page influencers, personal influencers, and TikTok ads. So it was like 4 things that I had learned at this point. And obviously it's not always been good. Over the last couple of years, there's been like many issues, many random fires or stuff I need to fix. But really in the last 2 years, I've done a bunch of notable stuff. I hit my first 50K day. I hit 95K day on Black Friday. I worked with a bunch of like A-list or maybe B-list celebrities. I did $1 million month in Australian dollars, if that counts. I bought my first business. I hired my first actual full-time staff. I spoke at a couple of different events, which I was actually doing before, but I did a couple online ones as well. I made friends with a couple big people in the e-commerce space. I made a bunch of connections just because of the numbers that I was doing. 2 weeks ago, I even ended up going to Miami to meet some of the big ecom guys, which was a crazy experience for me because I'd basically not left my home in the last 2 years. And just going to Miami and seeing like supercars, these guys doing crazy numbers, these young guys absolutely killing it. I met Luca Netz there. It was just crazy stuff. So that was basically my last 2 years and some of the stuff I've done. So really that was what my journey looked like from 5 years ago when I first started off in ecom to where I am today. Well, like I said, I run a couple of private label brands and I also have some dropship stuff on the side. Now you might be thinking, if I was hitting nearly 100K months when I was 14 years old, how have I only done $5 million in rev when I'm 17? And the answer is, like I said before, inconsistency. When you're normal dropshipping, you're running Facebook ads, influencer ads, and you don't have anything private labeled or custom going on, your revenue is not consistent. Every month really depends if you find a winning product or not, if your ads are profitable or not, and you're very much limited to, if your ads are working or not. You have a good month, and every month significantly varies, like I've explained before. And it's not because I'm not working as hard as I used to, or I did for certain periods of time. It's nothing like that. The performance or the results I get has no correlation with how hard I work. It's just solely based on if you find a winning product or not. And also there was a bunch of other issues, limiting factors because of my age in a way. You have to know, like, I've never had a credit card, I've never got a loan, a business loan, or overdraft. I've never had access to any of these things. Obviously, when I'm 18 in a couple of days, those issues will go away. But if I had access to those things, scaling, cash flow would be much easier to manage, and I wouldn't have so many issues that I had now. Even stuff like I had 200k locked in Stripe once, and I had to pause stuff for like months just to get this fixed. So, stuff like this happens, it affects your business cash flow, and you can't scale as aggressively as you wanted to. So it's not an excuse, it's just facts. If I had access to this stuff, like I could have easily got to 8 figures in my opinion, but I couldn't. These are some of the limiting factors, but that's one of the reasons why it's only 5 million at 17. And that is pretty much my whole life story on how I got to where I am today. I know I skipped a bunch of stuff, but hopefully that paints a general gist, a picture of exactly what I've done, what my journey looked like at various stages to get to where I am today. But okay, now let's move on to the interesting part, which is I'm going to talk about the main lessons. I'll talk about 10 different lessons I've learned along my journey over the past couple of years as an ecom entrepreneur, not just business, but life in general. And hopefully this can help you. If you think about it, you apply it into your own life and your own business, hopefully it can make some sort of positive impact. And the first lesson is be persistent and fully convinced that you will succeed. At the end of the day, it really comes down to how bad do you actually want it. Most of the times, things just won't go your way. You'll have many rubbish days. Your ad accounts will randomly get banned. Your payment processes will randomly get banned. You'll go through hell to go through initial basic hurdles, but if you really want it bad enough and you really want to succeed, then you'll be willing to stick with it. And I told you guys, I spent thousands of hours building Joyfolks and I couldn't get any sales. I spent a year just trying to figure out different methods of buying traffic. I made that funny motivational videos that you can go see on YouTube right now, and I tried loads of things and I kept at it. And if I had stopped, then I wouldn't have eventually found Amazon dropshipping, because I wouldn't be interested in the whole online space anymore. I would think that, oh, maybe it doesn't work and maybe it's not for me, but only because I kept at it and I kept on going that I ended up finding the whole Amazon dropshipping thing, which led me to Shopify eventually, which led me to where I am today. So you have to keep at it if you really want to make it happen. And of course, the path for you might not be super clear right now. Like, it wasn't super clear for me of how I was going to go from Joyfolks to Shopify dropshipping in a couple years time. However, if you keep at it, you keep on learning, focusing, and developing your skills in a specific area, eventually a time will come in 2 years, maybe 3 years, maybe even 5 years time, where you'll start to see the compounded fruits of your labor. And then that's when you really start seeing your dreams becoming a reality. But really, if you don't have that burning desire to just do whatever it takes in order to figure something out and just make it work, then business really isn't for you, because you really need that. Things won't be clear, it won't make sense to you, it might seem like it's impossible initially, it might seem like you're not going anywhere for months, even years. However, if you stick at it, I can guarantee you that you'll eventually figure it out. You'll have to grind really hard every single day, and this is the part that most people just simply don't want to do, or they can't do it. But if you really want to make it happen, this is what it takes. You'll be committed to putting in those hours and just making your dreams a reality. And if you can't be persistent with it for a long period of time, then simply business just isn't for you. Point number 2, the only reason that I've done $5 million in revenue at 17 years old is because I sacrificed pretty much everything growing up. There was no time for school, no time for friends, no time for going outside, no time for holidays, no time for socializing. It was just strictly work. Every single breathing second, I was focused on building my stores. How do I run these ad campaigns? How do I source these creatives? That was all I was thinking about for years on end. Not a single day did I take off thinking about anything else. I was 100% focused on e-commerce. Now, of course, that might not be the most healthy thing in the long term. However, for periods of time, that's the stuff you need to go through. That's the stuff that you need to sacrifice if, again, you really want to make it happen. I can distinctively tell you my daily routine back in 2019 when I was scaling the teeth whitening, the bunny care brand like crazy. I was waking up at 7 a.m. and as soon as I woke up, I started sending DMs to influencers trying to get as many promos booked as possible. Then I jumped on the bus, sent more DMs on the way to school. Then in school, in between lessons, I was also sending more DMs to influencers. And as soon as school finished, I ran back home, 4:30 and back home. And from 4:30 to 2 a.m. the next morning, I'm sending DMs, I'm working on my stores, I'm doing everything related to my business. Then 7 a.m. I wake up again and repeat the whole process. And I was in that same routine for many months, maybe even a year, just because I was so committed and I really wanted to scale my stuff so badly. And that's how much work, that's what my work ethic was like. That was my daily routine for a long period of time. I was willing to give up pretty much everything else so that my 8 hours, 9 hours after school, I can 100% focus on building my business. And without real hard work ethic like that, I just don't see how you can make big things happen. It requires you to sacrifice pretty much stuff that normal people would do on a regular day basis. You have to give up all those things if you really want to invest in yourself and see your business grow. I remember when I was back in school, there was this week called Activities Week, where basically everyone in the whole school would go, different countries, do different activities for a whole week. They'd go to Germany, skiing, camping, whatever. And I would always, I never went outside pretty much any time. So obviously I would love to go on one of these trips. But if I went away for 7 days, that means 7 days that I can't work on my business, 7 days I can't check on my ad accounts, 7 days that I have no access to my laptop. And that's obviously something that I couldn't sacrifice at the time. So I would fake an illness just to miss this holiday week, activity week in school, miss out on a good time with all my friends, just so that I could build my business. And that's just how committed I was. And I would have absolutely loved to go, but because I was so dedicated in building my business, I wanted to see my results improving every single week, I gave up that stuff. I sacrificed many things like that. And I personally, I'm a big football fan. I love playing football, and my school team has matches every Saturday. And I would often be in the team for the matches, but I knew Saturday mornings, those were my grind time. That was the time that I was finally free from school and I could work on my business. So I sacrificed even playing football, which I absolutely love, just to work on my business. And I knew that those hours are hours that I could never get back. I treated every single breathing minute so preciously, and I didn't want to waste any of it. And every single half term, summer break, Friday night, Christmas Day, every single day I was focused on working and building my ecom stuff, because I just had the burning desire inside of me to really make this ecom stuff work for me. And I dedicated all my time into that. It really pulled me. And I can tell you, from 2017 to 2020, I don't think I wasted a single day, even took holiday for a single day and spent it unwisely. I was just so focused on my business and just building my stuff. And sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. And if you really want to see results for yourself, you need to make these sacrifices. And by the way, this is even during the time that I was seeing good results. So just imagine how much more harder I was working when I wasn't seeing results and I was just desperate to make some sort of money and just desperate to make it. So if you're young and you're watching this, let me be super real with you. If you want to make it in this game, you have to give up pretty much everything that you or your friends normally do. That's really what it takes. And my third lesson is only take advice from people that have done what you want to do or have closely worked with those types of people. So very simply put, if someone's fat, don't take their health advice. If someone's poor, don't take their financial advice. If someone doesn't have what you want to have, then don't take their advice, because they don't know how to get to the place that you want to be. If they did know, then they would do it themselves. If they haven't done it themselves, that means they don't know what they're talking about. And think about it on a day-to-day basis. Think, who are you taking advice from or listening to on a daily basis? Maybe your teachers are giving you life advice, or your parents and teachers are giving you financial advice. Just ask yourself, where are they in their lives? Where are they with their finances? Most people have no idea what they're talking about. So if you're listening to people who don't have what you want to have, then you're pretty much just setting yourself up for failure. So make sure you surround yourself with big minds, people who have achieved big things, people that actually know what they're talking about. This is why reading books and listening to podcasts and watching YouTube videos with all these big guys is so valuable, because automatically you're filling yourself up with more bigger things, high level things that will actually make you instead of break you. So make sure you stop surrounding yourself with low quality quality friends that talk about rubbish, crappy things, just normal everyday things. You need to surround yourself with big minds, and if you don't know people in real life, just surround yourself with loads of audiobooks and YouTube videos. Constantly listen to that stuff if you want to make it. And you might be thinking or saying that there's nothing wrong with having normal friends talking about normal stuff or crappy stuff, but subconsciously, you don't even realize it. That's why it's subconscious. That stuff brings you down. And if you're constantly listening to that stuff from crappy talk, whatever it might be, then you're just setting yourself up for failure. Okay, now point number 4, stop listening to music. Now I know that might sound very controversial or very bold, but literally for me, since like 2016 to 2020 when I left school, when I was on that bus or train going back from school, I never listened to music. I was always listening to podcasts or audiobooks and just educational material. And I spent like 2 hours a day traveling like back and forth, and I was constantly filling my mind up with like personal development stuff, mindset, business related stuff, and that stuff was just always in my mind. I was drilling it into my mind. I was just so consumed by all of that. So obviously throughout the day, that was all I was thinking about. It's like a life hack, really. You spend a ridiculous amount of time listening to useless songs with meaningless lyrics, and again, you don't even know, but it's subconsciously, it's affecting you. And if you really want to make it badly, in my opinion, just delete your Spotify account, download Audible, and start listening to books that actually add value and teach you stuff. And I know most people watching this probably don't want it bad enough. You'll continue watching or listening to Spotify, and you don't really see the value behind what I'm saying. But I'm telling you, the real ones watching this will actually take action on what I said. You'll go ahead and download Audible. You start listening to actual podcasts instead of wasting your time listening to useless, like secular music. And I'm telling you, you'll find yourself more productive, more focused when you're listening to this high-level stuff from audiobooks or podcasts, whatever it might be. And for me personally, honestly, I can tell you some of my very best ideas have come from these podcasts. Some of the stuff that various people have said, from listening to these guys, I've learned, got some of my best ideas just from that. So just take it if you want to. I know most people won't do it, but I'm telling you, if you start listening to audiobooks and podcasts instead of music, it will change your life. Okay, so point number 5 is don't stop yourself from growing because of your limiting beliefs. Don't try to talk yourself out of starting that business or convince yourself that you can't grow to these big numbers because of your age, your background, whatever it might be, because I can assure you none of it is relevant. And especially with Ecom, it's just such a fantastic opportunity. I can say for a fact that it doesn't matter how old you are, what your background is, what your past experiences are, anyone can make it work in Ecom with the right amount of focus, attention, and effort into just making stuff happen. And don't quit before you even start your journey. Don't think that these type of numbers are unrealistic for a normal person like me, because just look at me. Like, there's nothing extra special about me. I'm not extra smart or have any extra like special background or anything. I'm a normal person, and I made it happen because I was 100% committed and I put in the time to make it happen. So make sure you don't talk yourself out of it, because you're losing the race before you even start. And if you take that same mindset when you approach anything, I can assure you that you'll pull it off. Point number 6, if you want to see real success in e-com or business, stop doing what everyone else is doing. Personally, my biggest wins have always come from tapping into blue oceans, doing stuff that no one else has really talked about, or sometimes it might be based on someone else's foundation and their basic strategy, but then I build my own stuff, my own philosophy on top of that, and then I make it unique, my own thing. If you think about it, if you're just doing what everyone else is talking about, like including me, if you're just doing the exact same things that I'm talking about on YouTube, to think about how many other thousands of people are watching that. Now, sure, not everyone might implement it, and you can still do very well with those same strategies to a level, maybe even 7 figures, like I did. However, at some point, you need to figure stuff out for your own. Like I said, blue oceans is where I've made most of my money. I built up unique ways of doing stuff that no one has really talked about. It's kind of laid on someone else's foundation, but I build on top of it. And that's the same thing that you need to do once you hit a certain level. If you really want to make it big, make your own blue oceans. So I know that might sound a bit vague, and that doesn't mean that right off the bat you need to do your own unique thing, because no, that's definitely not what you should do. Follow what's working for other people. Follow, in this case, you can follow the crowd, but once you're at a certain level, and I'm talking 6 figures plus maybe, or even 7 figures is where I got to when I started doing my own thing, then you need to start thinking blue oceans. How can you do stuff differently that no one else is doing, and you can just capitalize on a whole blue ocean. You should definitely read that book if you haven't done so already, by the way. And point number 7 is invest your time into high value skills. I'm fully convinced that making six figures isn't a big deal. I did it at 14, and if you think making six figures is a big deal, then it just shows that your mindset and your thinking is very small, it's very limited. Your brain has just been limited by society into thinking that six figures is a big number, it's a big milestone, which of course it might be, it definitely is. However, I can assure you that if you master one skill, become like an absolute master at one particular skill, people will pay you multiple six figures just to do that one thing. You most definitely shouldn't become good at a bunch of different random skills like school teaches you to do with 10 different subjects, even like 12 different subjects in my case. That's not the way to do it. What you really need to do is learn one high value skill, and that could be something like copywriting or email marketing or ad creatives, how to make good UGC, stuff like that. Any one particular skill, and people will pay you a good amount of money, multiple six figures even, if you're a master at it. So that's all you need to do. If you invest your time into learning one high value skill, even in the future you can build a business off that one skill. So don't distract yourself, don't waste your time learning many different things. If you really want to become great at something, you have to focus only on that one thing. And I'm convinced in my journey, like I only started off doing influencers and I was just 100% focused on influencers. Like I was doing it like crazy. At my peak, I was doing 100 promos every single day with these meme pages. Like I was so focused on that, I would say became a master on that. So same thing for you. If you focus on one thing, spend all your time, loads of hours just fully consumed by this one particular skill, and you become a master at it, for sure, you can easily make six figures or start your own business and make multiple six figures with it. By the way, in my opinion, same thing goes with in business itself, not just like as a job. Media buying, just learn one platform, become the best at that one platform, and then you can figure out the other platforms. If you're starting dropshipping, don't like go to Facebook ads and TikTok ads and influencers and spend a little money here and there, and say why isn't it working, because you're spreading yourself out too thin. You can't master all these different platforms. It took me multiple years even just to get really good at influencers. So don't think you can go to multiple different platforms and learn them all. Just focus on one, pick one. Sure, you can experiment with them all and see how does all the different platforms work. But make sure you pick one platform once you've done your experimentation and just focus on becoming the best in that area. And then obviously over time you can build up many other skills and you can build your business, because you need multiple skills to run a business. However, I'm telling you, if you focus on one thing initially, you can definitely still make it big. So become the best Google Sheets wizard, Web3 coder, content creator, blogger, Photoshop master. Those are all high value skills that you can develop. And point number 8 sort of ties in with my last point, but it simply is invest in yourself in general. Buy that course, attend that webinar. You have to be willing to invest in yourself and your personal development and education if you really want to become a master at a specific skill and really grow big in business. You might hear all these idiots on YouTube, I don't know, CopyZilla or whoever, saying that courses are a scam and whatever, but don't listen to these guys, because automatically you're influencing your mind in the wrong way. And subconsciously, again, you're setting yourself up for failure when you think that everything is a scam. CopyZilla isn't that bad, so there are some other guys out there that say that everything is a scam, every course is a scam. Don't listen to these people, because you have to be willing to buy that course, and you have to be willing to figure out how to make that course work for you if you really want to succeed badly. So invest in yourself. You have to spend money to invest in yourself, because if you don't spend money on yourself, then you don't really value the information that you're getting. Like, for example, if I could give like an entire course on YouTube on how to build a 7-figure dropshipping store, I could do it for you live in front of you and show you all the steps I take. However, if I did that for completely free, maybe let's say 1% of people actually action it. If I did that on a paid course, maybe 10% of the people would action it. So automatically when you pay for something, you value it more. So you just have to be willing to spend money on yourself if you want to grow. And I remember for me personally, like all the way back in the day, one of my first courses that I bought was like Alex Becker's, one of his Ecom course with one of his partners. Like he was running the Wolf Mug ad. Some of you guys might know what I'm talking about. I bought like a James Beattie course, if you know him. And his course at the time was like 1K, and I didn't really have that money, but I somehow managed to put it together. And the stuff I learned from that is just invaluable, because it set me up on the road of e-commerce, and from there I figured everything out and I pieced all the puzzle together. So you need to be willing to put money into yourself, stop being a loser, be a real man, buy that course and just figure it out. And point number 9 is every single day, write down on a piece of paper a list of all your goals and make sure you journal. And sure, it might be the most boring 10 minutes of your day doing this, and especially nowadays, like none of us even write stuff on paper anymore, but I can assure you it will help keep you laser focused and it's going to benefit you big time. When you're writing down your goals, you're basically keeping them always on the top of your mind, and it simply just drills them in and just makes you think about it all the time. And essentially, you're just setting your mind up for success because you're constantly thinking about your goals, you're constantly thinking of ways to achieve your goals, and all of a sudden you start like connecting dots that you wouldn't have connected before just because you're completely obsessed with achieving your goals. So really, it's just unbelievably powerful writing down your goals every single day. And I know most people won't understand the value of it, or you might just listen to me saying it, but you won't do it yourself. But I can tell you, like, me, I did like 500 days plus in a row. I wrote down my goals every single day. The day I skipped, I was on a flight and I couldn't do it. I didn't feel well. But 500 days in a row, I wrote my goals down on a piece of paper every single day. And that's really what it takes. So for those of you who actually want to take action, actually want to start seeing results in your business, change your life, start writing your goals down every single day on a piece of paper. Write down 10-15 goals in all areas of your life and make sure you're keeping them at the top of your mind at all times. And by the way, this is not something that I came up with. This is something that I remember Grant Cardone saying like in 2018. And that guy's like a billionaire right now. So if you want to take advice on billionaires, just do what the billionaires do. And if he's writing down his goals every single day, I think he does it twice a day even, then how much more should you be doing it? So up to you if you take it. I really hope you do. And point number 10, my last point, is set high goals. I talked about this before, but if you set high goals, you automatically set the bar higher, your standards are improved, and you just force yourself to do better. Your mind starts thinking, like, how can I achieve these bigger goals? You automatically start working at a harder level, or a higher level, and you start thinking smarter ways to achieve your goals. Your performance is simply boosted because of it, and like I said to you before, every year I've set my financial goal on a higher amount every single year, and I've always done a bigger amount than the previous year. So it's worked for me. I really recommend you do it for yourself, and not just financially, like in all areas of your life. Set your bars higher every single year, and sure, maybe you might not even hit that specific goal. Like personally, I've never hit the financial goal that I set, but I still do better every single year. So set the bar high and automatically you perform better. Even if you don't hit it, you'll still do considerably very well. If anything, I might feel a bit let down if I hit my goal, because I would think maybe I was thinking a bit too small and I was restricting myself from growing much higher. So I really recommend you set high goals for yourself. For most people, making 100k in a year at 13 years old, which was my goal, sounds ridiculous. It sounds impossible. And I didn't hit the goal. I missed it by like 50%. However, if I didn't set that goal, I would have limited myself big time. So simply by setting that goal, I performed at a much higher level than I would have if I didn't set that goal. And don't worry about the how. Don't think about how can you actually achieve it. It might not be clear. The path might not make sense initially. However, set that goal, staple it all over your bedroom. If you come into my bedroom, you can see there's like a dozen posters in my bedroom just reaffirming my goals. Write it down every single day. And if you look back at some of my old videos that were very much unedited, you can see like in the background of the videos, my Bugatti, I'm a billionaire, I'm a trillionaire, I was born to give, all these different stuff that were my goals written all over my wall. And you need to be fully consumed by your goal, like I was, if you want to achieve it, because you automatically start attracting it. And that pretty much wraps it up. Those are my 10 points, my 10 lessons that I want you to take away from this video. If you really want to set yourself up for success, let me go ahead and summarize again real quickly. Number 1, be persistent. Be 100% convinced that you will succeed. Number 2, understand that you have to make sacrifices if you do want to succeed. Unfortunately, you can't do the normal stuff that your friends are doing on a day-to-day basis. You have to be willing to make sacrifices. Even the things that you love the most, you have to be willing to sacrifice. Number 3, only take advice from people who have done what you want to do. Don't listen to people who don't know what they're talking about in specific areas of life, because again, if they knew what they were talking about, they would be in a much better position. Number 4, stop listening to music, start listening to audiobooks, fill your mind with high quality stuff, and don't subconsciously sabotage yourself from success by listening to low quality, crappy, meaningless lyrics. Number 5, don't limit yourself with small thinking. Think big. Force yourself to think big. Number 6, stop doing what everyone else is doing. If you want to see real big success, multi-7 figures, think about blue oceans. If you're competing and doing the same thing that everyone else is doing, everyone on YouTube is doing, even the stuff that I'm teaching you, if you're just doing the exact same thing and not iterating on yourself, well, you're going to compete in red oceans and everyone is doing the same thing. You're fighting it out on a saturated market and you're really limiting yourself from how much you can grow. Number 7, invest in high value skills. Learn how to copyright, how to blog, how to create content. High value skills that people can pay you multiple 7 figures for. Number 8, invest in yourself in general. Buy a course, attend a seminar. Really focus on developing your skills, and that means investing money into these type of stuff. Stop thinking everything is a scam. Everything isn't a scam. Number 9, write down your goals every single day. Make sure you keep them at the front of your mind. You always have to be thinking about your goals, and as long as you're doing that, and eventually after you start doing that, you realize ideas just start coming to you naturally, and you begin attracting, and you're now able to connect dots that you previously weren't able to connect. And number 10, finally, set high goals. Don't limit yourself from how much you can grow. You could go so much higher than you actually think you can do. But if you're setting yourself low goals and the barrier is very low, then you're not forcing yourself to grow. Set the bar high. Even if you don't miss it or hit exactly what you're looking to achieve, you'll still do pretty good for yourself. So make sure you're always setting really big goals. So those are my 10 lessons. And I know I've dragged this out for quite a long time, so let's wrap up real quick with what my future plans are and what I see myself doing basically. So, like I said, I've been in the ecom game for many years now. I love this game. I love ecom. I've learned so much over the past couple of years. I still continue to learn things over the years. So this is what I see myself doing. Currently, like I said before, I acquired my first ecom business. My plan is to acquire or build and acquire and scale various ecom businesses, build up a big portfolio of brands, eventually exit it maybe in 20-30 years time. It's not really on my mind. I love the game. I love being inside the ecom game, and this is what I see myself doing. And I'm really focused on just building that portfolio that I'm actively building to growing it as big as I can, billions if not tens of billions, because why not, right? In terms of notable goals for the future, I'm a big football fan. It's my goal one day to buy Chelsea FC. That's my team. So Todd Bowley, just putting it out there, I'm next in line, man. And also, if you've been following me for a while, you can tell that there's been a change of setup over the past couple of years. So I've moved into an office in the London area, let's say. And my plan is to build out a team over here, an in-house team, where we work on growing those brands, building those brands, just going crazy with it. So if you want to see how that goes, make sure you are subscribed to the channel because I'm documenting the journey. We took like a 2-year break from YouTube, but we're back on it right now, so make sure you do subscribe. So with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and just wrap it up over here. I hope my journey so far did motivate some of you, or at least teach you something that positively impacts your business and your life going forward. Any questions about me or ecom or business in general, you can go ahead and shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'll put my handle over here. This might change because I might get a better one, but go ahead, shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'd love to have a chat. I'd love to connect. Or you can also drop your comments down in the comment section down below. Again, I respond to every single one of them. Hope you guys did find this video helpful. Drop a like down below if you did. And I really didn't want to record this video, but now that I've recorded it, I think it was a pretty good idea. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.